currency woes in India too, where the government has struggled to defend the rupee. Non-essential import restrictions announced this week have left businesses unhappy, and there are fears of protectionist policies being put into place. The rupee is now the worst performing currency in Asia, despite government efforts to turn the tide. India is often referred to as the world's fastest growing large economy. But its currency has hit a series of record lows versus the dollar over the past few months. That weakness in the currency has coincided with rising global oil prices, compounding the pain. All of this means that the current account deficit has widened. It's now at 2.4% of gross domestic product. So far, growth has held up. Gross domestic product grew 8.2% from April to June, and that's its fastest rise in 2 years. But there are worries that it may take a hit too. The finance minister in India is Arun Jaitley. He's blamed the depreciation of the rupee on global factors, including the US-China trade war. Well, joining us now from Glasgow is Gregor Irwin. Gregor's chief economist at Global Counsel. Gregor, good to have you with us again on Counting the Cost. What is going on at the moment with India's economy? What are you advising clients?
Well, India is suffering from a currency crisis at the moment. The rupee has fallen by 12%. That's quite significant. There are a few factors that are contributing to that. The price of oil has gone up for a country like India, which imports much of its energy. That pushes up the import bill. On the export side, I suppose there are concerns about the global environment for trade, US protectionism. But probably above all, there are concerns about divergence in global monetary conditions, US interest rates rising. That's exposed vulnerabilities in quite a few countries, Argentina, Turkey. Also, we've seen currencies fall across Asia. And India has not been immune to that. And that's probably why the currency is under pressure, and that's a concern for the government. You mentioned one of the factors is the price of fuel.
India buying oil, of course, in dollars, and as the rupee falls, oil just gets more and more expensive.
Well, exactly, and it accounts for quite a large part of the bill for average Indians, the price of energy. So it really does squeeze living standards, and it's a political concern, as I've suggested. And there's not a whole lot that the Indian economy ministry, the finance ministry, the government can do about that, other than try and address other factors that are helping to put downward pressure on the rupee. So factors such as raising interest rates, that's a move in the right direction by the Reserve Bank.
You mentioned Turkey. On Thursday, Turkey announced a new economic plan, which has, well, it's failed to impress, really. It cut its growth forecast in that economic plan. Is India going to be forced to follow suit?
Well, I mean, Turkey actually today is trying to deal with concerns that its economic plan has been too vague, that its response to what is a much more significant currency crisis facing Turkey has been inadequate. The Turkish lira has fallen something like 40% over the course of this year. The country has a new finance minister. It turns out it's the president's son-in-law. That has arguably damaged credibility of economic policy making in Turkey. And the new finance minister was trying to flesh out Turkey's policy response. India's not quite in the same situation as Turkey. Turkey has a much larger current account deficit. Inflation's much higher in Turkey. There are greater concerns about the stability and sustainability of growth in Turkey. And while the Indian policy response so far arguably has not been adequate, more will be required, and the direction of policy in India is questionable with import curbs. Turkey has a bigger challenge in convincing markets that actually there's substance behind the headlines of the economic plan that the finance minister is fleshing out today.
Gregor, really good to talk to you on Counting the Cost. Many thanks indeed for being with us.
You're very welcome.